Welcome to the Healthcare Provider Happy Hour. This is a safe space where we invite healthcare providers to unapologetically be themselves after the working day. My name is Jennifer George, and each week I will connect you with guests and stories that will help transform your stress to success and fulfillment. Are you with me? Grab your drink of choice and let's chat. Hey everyone, welcome to the Healthcare Provider Happy Hour. I'm your host, Jennifer George, and I'm joining you this morning with a cup of green tea. And yes, I said this morning. This morning has been my happy hour, and we all have a happy hour. And while it's traditionally after work in the afternoons, that's what it's culturally known as to be. My happy hour typically is in the mornings, so I've been feeling more inspired in the mornings, so that's why I'm here sitting with you today and talking with you today about your legacy. One of the things I talk about in my book, Communication is Care, in the section of, I think it's in purpose and in reflection, I ask you to reflect on whether your work as a healthcare provider is your job or is your legacy. And there's a huge difference between the two. So typically, healthcare providers who are feeling burned out become very hyper-vigilant, right? Very narrow-focused, detailed and task-oriented. And over time, the persistence of that, it ends up becoming more of a job at the end of the day. You know, you swipe in, you swipe out, or, you do what you've got to do per patient and that's it, right? You don't have any purpose attached to it anymore. And you start to feel like you're not making an impact. You start to feel like you are a failure. And that starts to weigh on you. And the reason why it starts to weigh on you is because it's not really the reason why you got into healthcare to begin with, right? So I don't know your personal purpose and why you got into healthcare, but I know for me, it was more about my own personal transformation, health transformation, back when I was in high school. Actually, initially I wanted to go into psychology, which I'm still very passionate about, and also pharmaceuticals. And then I realized, after going through my own health transformation, that if I could help myself, maybe I could help others. And I wanted others to know that they could be empowered to transform themselves and help heal themselves. So that's kind of where my purpose started from in terms of going into physiotherapy. Deeper than that though, and this is where I want you to reflect more about it as your legacy. So my parents are immigrants and they emigrated from Lebanon. And my dad and my mom, they both had to give up their schooling in primary school because they just had to take care of their families. My dad was the oldest, my mom was the youngest. My mom lost her parents young, and my dad just had to sacrifice his schooling so that he could help his parents and serve the rest of his brothers and sisters. So when my parents came here to Canada, their legacy for us was to have a better life. Okay, they sacrificed so that we could have a better life as their children. And one of the things my dad used to say to us growing up was that if I had an education, I could have been the Prime Minister of Canada. And you know what? He's probably right. My dad was very passionate about politics, and he was passionate about serving the underprivileged, recognizing them, and also befriending them. He really enjoyed their company, and that was the type of guy my dad was. So when I go into my practice every day, I think about my mom and my dad and all they sacrificed for me. And not only that, I think about how I'm going to simply help someone in need today. I don't think about what I know or what I don't know. I trust that will come to me in the moment it has to come to me. But I want to leave my own legacy. And Maya Angelou has this amazing quote, right? People might forget your name, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And that is my legacy, is that I want to touch the lives of my patients, my colleagues, my listeners on this podcast, my readers of my book, whoever it might be. Because I know that in doing that, it will only serve the next person in their life better. And that's really what it is all about. So when you send me a message on Instagram and you tell me, I'm a big part of the inspiration behind your latest endeavor, or why you're so passionate about being in healthcare, that really touches my heart, because that is what I live for. That is what I practice for. I don't practice to solve conditions and to treat ailments. I practice to help other people rise above them. And in that journey of empowering them to do so, hopefully they understand that I saw them and that I helped them get to where they wanted to be in some way, shape, or form, and that there's still a lot more life for them to live. And that's kind of my purpose and my reasoning. And it always changes, right? It always changes, and it should change because people change, right? Life changes, our world changes. So we have to adapt, and we grow, and we take in a lot, right? We're just taking in. And if we can take in and we can allow those experiences to shape us and to help us direct ourselves to where we are most passionate, then we will be more in touch with our legacy. Okay, and I really do believe that's a big reason why healthcare providers do burn out, because they start to think, well, why am I doing this? But only you're going to know that, and only you can find your way back to that. But it's so important to check in with yourself and reflect on that along the way. Okay, so one simple question to ask yourself is, why am I called to do this? Why am I here? How can I treat others with such a way that it impacts the way they feel in the best way possible? So I'm going to leave you with that this morning. Let me know what you guys think. If you want to check out my book, Communication is Care, it's a guide for healthcare providers to communicate with impact, to communicate in such a way that it empowers patients compassionately, empathetically, to achieve their highest level of independence and healing. You can check that out in the show notes. It's also available anywhere if you just Google it. And also, if you want to just keep in touch with me, let me know what your legacy is for practicing. I would love to know what that is. Just DM me on Instagram. My handle's @bestobsessedwithjen, and let's have a conversation about it. If we can just keep in touch with us, I really do believe that this is one of the ways that you can prevent burnout down the road and from falling down that rabbit hole of just being so task-oriented. Okay, have an amazing working day if you're listening to this in the morning. And until we chat next time, stay happy. So if you guys like this podcast, please subscribe and leave an honest review. Your feedback means everything to me. Your reviews are what moves this podcast forward, and I always appreciate receiving them. If you want to get a hold of me directly, reach out to me on social media. My handles are in the show notes, and you can always subscribe to my weekly newsletters at jennifergeorge.co so that we can stay connected. So until next time, thank you guys so much again for your ongoing support.